This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on MKC TV. I'm delighted to be back after a COVID hiatus, unfortunately. A little bit about me. I'm ABBA obsessed. I love cake and yoga, not necessarily in that order, and I'm a mum to two amazing boys. On today's show, I'm going to be talking, doing two cinema reviews actually, biopics, both of which have made me cry absolute buckets, is the Robbie Williams film Better Man and the Maria Callas biopic as well, with Angelina Jolie. Incredible. And I'll also be talking to Davina, Milton Keynes' answer to Davina, Ailsa Petchey from the Olive Collective, talking all things menopause.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKC TV.
So I'm delighted to talk about the fact that I don't make New Year's resolutions. And I know lots of people do, but I can almost guarantee that by the end of January, that would have been an epic fail. And all you're going to do is end up feeling really disenchanted, just fed up really, because you're going to feel like a failure. So I think I've only in the last couple of years decided that New Year's resolutions are a complete waste of time. So I try and set goals and intentions. And at the beginning of this year, I decided I was going to go on a retreat, which was amazing. So it was run by Donna Moore Holistics, and Donna Moore is one of these really special people. She's just got a magic quality about her. She's a really, really good person, and I say she runs Donna Moore Holistics. And she set up this amazing retreat. It was called Strive to Thrive in 25, which I thought was a great title. And it was all about sort of saying goodbye to 2024 and kind of moving forward and looking at 2025. And it was such a lovely day. We went to Further Manor Farm, and if you've not been there, it's absolutely gorgeous. It has just got such a lovely, tranquil vibe. And we just had such a lovely day. It was a whole day, and we had a sound bath, which she does, which is so relaxing. I absolutely love it, a sound bath. It's just incredible. We did some meditation and some journaling, which I'm a great believer in. And the thing with journaling is it's about that positive reinforcement. If you write stuff down, it is more likely to happen. It's about retraining the brain to sort of that positive affirmation. And I used to think years ago, all this sort of stuff was very woo, and I was very, very skeptical, but my younger son got me into it. And actually, I have to say, it has changed my life. The ability to journal and write one's thoughts down is so, so powerful. And I don't think it could be underestimated. If you write it down, it is more likely to happen. We also did some vision boarding, which is something I'd wanted to do. And again, I'd been given a vision board for my birthday, before the retreat was booked. So it was kind of like the universe was just making this all sort of fall into place, and it worked really, really well. And it was about, again, setting intentions and putting up pictures of things that I wanted to happen in 2025. So whether it's travel or work or money or finances, anything, you put it out there on your vision board. And I didn't bring it in because my vision board is massive, but it's on my socials if you want to see it. And it's very personal, and anybody can do it. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be super glossy. I just got hold of a magazine and I cut out some phrases and some pictures that were relevant to me. And I've put pictures up of things I want to do this year, like go on a yoga retreat. So make sure that these things happen. There's certain places I want to visit, so I've put those up there. Talked about my podcast. So lots of exciting things that I want to kind of improve for 2025. And it's so weird because there was something I put up there, and within half an hour, this particular thing that I'd put up there had actually come to fruition. So it really, really does work. So, you need to get over your skepticism, but, and give it a go, because what have you got to lose? It was absolutely a wonderful, wonderful day. So as I say, if you want to have a look, it's on my socials. But it was a lovely, relaxing day, and I would definitely recommend sort of going on a retreat. You don't have to wait till January. You can go whenever you want. But for me, it was a great way to start the year.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKC TV.
So I just want to talk about my birthday, which sounds like a self-indulgent thing to do. But I'm one of those unfortunate people whose birthday falls what we call Twixmas, that bit between Christmas and New Year. And it's an absolute nightmare because everybody forgets, nobody's got any money. And every year I generally feel quite sorry for myself. But this year I thought, no, I'm going to change the narrative. I'm going to book myself a little afternoon tea, which I did at the Ridgemont Tea Room, and it's attached to it's part of the Marston Vale line, and it's so lovely, this gorgeous little tea room. The afternoon tea is £22.95, and you get your scones and your proper cream tea, and it's just wonderful. But what I love is the fact that it's attached to the railway station, and the little museum is there, and that railway line is actually running again, and it's all run by volunteers. And it's one of those sort of hidden things in Milton Keynes. It's just off Junction 13, so sort of heading to off the motorway. So it's not somewhere that you would pass, but it's really special. And if you, like me, absolutely love an afternoon tea, I really, really recommend the Ridgemont afternoon vintage tea room. And as I say, it's got all the mismatched crockery and proper warm scones, which I absolutely adore. So yeah, it's fabulous. And as I say, it's such a good price. And there were 9 of us, and it just felt really, really homely and cozy. And it was such a great way to start the year. So yeah, I had my party, and then the next day I had the retreat. So it was a great way to start the year. So definitely have a look at that if you love afternoon tea. There's some amazing afternoon tea places in Milton Keynes, but that is probably one of my favorites. I'm going to talk a little bit about Better Man. This film has had such a profound effect on me, and I was never a Robbie Williams or Take That fan, if I'm honest, but I was curious. I wanted to see what all the hype was about, and sadly, it's not doing very well in the States because nobody knows who Robbie Williams is there. And bless him, he's having to kind of justify his existence there, but I think he's probably doing okay. But in terms of a film concept, it's quite genius. And John O'Davies, who is the actor who plays him, is a motion capture chimp. And the reason that Robbie Williams wanted this kind of someone who wasn't an actor to play him, he wanted this to be a kind of an analogy for his life, that he felt like a performing monkey. And that is why he's got this monkey, and everybody's talking about it. If you just had some bog standard actor playing him, what would we be talking about? Yes, he had this rock and roll lifestyle, which everybody knew about, it was well documented. But the fact is that he's using this monkey, who is sort of this chimp, that is so lifelike, and you actually forget 10 minutes in, you're like, I'm so invested in this, and he's using it. It's quite weird because it's got Robbie's eyes, and how they filmed it is just incredible. But John O'Davies, who actually plays Robbie as the chimp, is actually a local boy. He actually was born in Milton Keynes, went to Bedford Modern, so it's an incredible sort of local link there. But it's an amazing story. It's really, really sad, and I think the sad thing for me was Robbie wanting his father's approval, and that runs right from when he was a little boy. But his dad always was sort of seeking superstardom himself, and Robbie just didn't get a look in, and they had these giant egos. This little boy had a giant ego at the age of 4 or 5, and then obviously his dad, who wanted to be a performer and who was sort of inspired by the greats like Frank Sinatra. There was just this kind of warring, and it was really, really sad. And his dad left. And I think Robbie felt his whole life that he was abandoned, and his dad had gone off to seek, fame and fortune, and had left him behind, which he had done. So it was up to his mum and his grandma to bring him up, and they were extraordinary women, really strong women, and they were instrumental in sort of bringing him up and making him the man he is. But in terms of the way it all went, and it all went horribly wrong. By 21, he was an alcoholic and an addict, and he said, this would have happened regardless. This is the path that I was always going to be on. I needed this fame, I needed this buzz, but I became an addict sooner because I had access to everything. And the thing is, when you're in that kind of, he joined Take That when he was 15, and that kind of pressure is extraordinary, and they weren't looked after in those days. And his relationship with Nigel Martin Smith, who was Take That manager, it was toxic at the very best, to be honest with you. So it was about watching his relationship with Nicole Appleton implode, and the whole of that whole crazy 90s, the drugs and the partying, and it was very sad. And you could see that he wanted this. He wanted fame. He didn't even care about being a star. He always said, I'm never the best singer, I'm never the best dancer, but I just want the fame. And when he got fame came at a cost. And it really, really did. And, it's an amazing story, and you are so invested in this. And honestly, I came out and I was just, I couldn't speak. I was crying. It was so moving. And, we all know he's had his happy ever after. He's married now, and he's doing just fine. He's got his 4 wonderful children, and it's wonderful to see that happy ever after. But it is an extraordinary story of an extraordinary performer. And actually, now I've got newfound respect for Robbie Williams, and anything I can see in the press about him, I'm just watching now because I'm fascinated by this enigma. So that was a really interesting biopic. On complete contrast, I went to see Maria, which is the Maria Callas biopic starring Angelina Jolie. And I guess if you're not an opera buff, you may not have heard of her, but she was the greatest living opera singer of the 20th century. Without a doubt, this phenomenal soprano voice. Again, really tough start in life. And there's a theme here with people who become amazing artists. There's always this hardship as children. And her mother forced her to perform when she was very young, and she had to perform for the Nazis. She literally had to sing for her supper. And that was obviously really, really harrowing experience. So born in Greece, and she ended up becoming, the world's most famous opera singer. Her relationship with Aristotle Onassis was well documented, and that was doomed. It was a doomed relationship, and he eventually left her for Jackie Kennedy. And she was kind of the original diva, and the publicity around her alleged behavior and her relationship, her sort of bizarre relationships that she had, and her drug abuse was well documented. But Angelina Jolie's portrayal of her was just extraordinary, because there was a pathos and an emotional depth to it that just was so moving. And the film is set in the last 7 days of her life, and she's living in Paris, and the only company she's got are her servants. She's got no friends, and it's just, she's living in her head, and she wants to sing one more time, not to perform, but just for herself, and her voice is gone. And I think that is the saddest thing of all. It's a really sad film, and you're probably thinking, why is she going to see all these really sad films? But these are people's lives. They are really interesting, and these are people who've done extraordinary things, with the extraordinary talent they've got. But hers obviously was a Greek tragedy, and like most operas, it didn't end well, and she died in 1977, aged 53.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKCTV.
And I'm going to give you a cheap thrill now, because I'm going to talk about The Traitors, which is possibly the most thrilling thing on television I've ever seen. Certainly at the moment, it is extraordinary television. For those of you who've been living under a rock for the last year or so, this is a third series that the BBC have commissioned. The second series was the best, actually. The ending was amazing. But basically, it's 22 people who are taken to a Scottish castle. It's hosted by Claudia Winkleman, who is the Dark Lord. I mean, she's extraordinary. She's just glowering at them from under her fringe and her amazing tweed. She's super stylish, and she's set a whole new kind of fashion trend for tartan. It's amazing. I don't know. I mean, she's such a fashion icon anyway. But she's such a brilliant host. I cannot imagine anybody else doing it, actually. But yeah, so 22 people are put in the Scottish castle, and they're basically there's 2 or 3 traitors who are people who are told that they're going to be traitors by Claudia. They're blindfolded round a round table, and basically it's their role is to kind of kill and get rid of the faithfuls, and that's the game basically. And it's about the faithfuls trying to out the traitors, and they do such a rubbish job of it. Honestly, it is every night at the round table another faithful gets banished because they're all convinced that person's a traitor just because they looked at them wrongly, whatever. And the traitors are meanwhile sitting there just rubbing their hands together with glee, just thinking, you guys are so dumb. It is absolutely brilliant. It's a masterclass in deception, deceit, and backstabbing. And I know I shouldn't be grinning about it, but it is genius. And this show has been commissioned all over the world now. It's in the US, which I don't really like, actually, because they use a lot of celebrities, and it feels very sort of one-upmanshipy. And I feel that they already know each other, which, if you know what someone's like, you're going to have a formed opinion of them. So the juicy bit about the UK one and the Antipodean ones is that nobody knows anybody else. So that's what works really well. So you've got no preconceived ideas about these people. Alan Cumming hosts the US one, and he is a brilliant host, but I'm just not a fan. It's a lot of wannabes and a lot of celebrities, and there's an unbelievable amount of plastic surgery going on there, and I can't tell whether they're happy, sad, or indifferent, quite frankly. The New Zealand one is brilliant. The Australian one, in my opinion, is the best, but the UK one is fantastic, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is so juicy. I can't call who's going to win, and I'm not going to, but I've got a fair idea. But you know, it's absolutely fantastic. And as I say, Claudia is the best host. So it's available on iPlayer. As I say, you can watch. There's New Zealand, Australia, the US, and the UK one. And last year's winner, Harry Clark, was amazing. I mean, I won't spoil for you what happened, but that ending was genius, and I cannot wait to see what happens with this. So yeah, The Traitors is this is juicy television. Cannot wait to see what happens.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKC TV.
So welcome back to Ailsa Petchey, director of the Olive Collective, and Milton Keynes' answer to Davina.
Oh, bless you. Thanks to be back.
It's so lovely. Week 5.
Yes, can you believe it? I mean, gosh, it's gone quickly. But we haven't seen each other properly for a little while, have we?
No, Happy New Year.
Oh, God.
Well, I haven't seen you, actually. I saw you at my birthday party, but since then I've had
that was fabulous.
It was fabulous, and you made it fabulous being there. It was yes, I had the dreaded COVID, so...
Yeah, bless your heart. It's good to see you looking well.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. It's really good to get dressed and put a bra on again. Actually leave the house.
It's the small things.
It's the small things. I was actually like, this is actually quite uncomfortable. You know, I've literally been in my onesie, my pajamas for the last 3 weeks, so it's actually really nice to get dressed up and go out.
And look at you looking so glamorous and gorgeous. I've just rocked up from a Pilates class, and you're looking gorgeous as always. And I love you in pink.
Oh, thank you. Pink is my favourite colour. This gives me the biggest dopamine hit of all. But thank you for that. And yeah, colour does bring me such joy, and you know, we've talked about the psychology of colour before, but you know, I think that you do casual really well. And you know, it's interesting because you know, you say, you know, I look great, and I think you look great, and I can't do casual. I'm either this or a onesie. There's nothing in between. and you know, you do sweatshirts, and you know, I know this is your job. This is, you know, you're in leisure wear,
yes.
And you do it so well. And yeah, we're all different, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Well, I have to say, no, it's not very glamorous, is it? You know, always being in gym wear. But no, I have to say, when I do get dressed up, I do love putting on a dress or something a little bit more colourful. Otherwise, you'll just see me in black most of the time. Just black, which is
just
probably
easy,
opposite to everything that you're telling everybody to do. So.
Yes, well, we do. I do talk about, you know, how not wearing black, you know, because it can be quite draining. But you know, let's be honest, it's practical, and certainly this time of year, weather-wise, it just works, and you know, you don't have to think about what it goes with. So, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so it's so lovely to see you. And today we're going to be talking about HRT. But before that, I want to talk about New Year's resolutions, intentions. Any set?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't set any this year, but the main reason is because I work with so many women, and I do quite a few things within the classes that I teach. My one is really, I like to hear what other people are needing or support with, and then I tend to almost embrace those ones and have some good intentions alongside what they're doing, so I can encourage people but also take those on as well. And I think this year it seems to be just trying to manage our energy levels, and I think if I could just get my energy levels just to be as nice and balanced, that will probably be a great intention, and that I would really feel so much better from, and get my sleep patterns right as well. So maybe that's not as exciting as some of the ones that are out there, but I think that it's something that I can work in like small steps towards, and I think that's always something that I always talk to everybody about. You know, sometimes we need to try and think of something that will really support us, and then just take those small steps towards it. And you know, with sleep, it's a difficult one, and it's sometimes, you know, maybe even extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes a night, it makes a huge difference if you put that over a week. And those are the things that I sort of help talk to people about a lot at this time of the year, especially.
I think that's really important, that, you know, you do what's right for you, because as I said earlier, you know, one sets resolutions and we're doomed to fail, you know, and that's something I'll be talking about in my next show with my PT Jo Mara, about, you know, the fact that so many people join gyms and by the end of January they failed, and we set ourselves up for failure. And I think it is about doing things in sort of bite-sized chunks, things that are right for you, not what other people expect of you, but what's right for you.
Absolutely.
and manageable, because otherwise, you know, you're going to just end up being disappointed.
Oh my gosh, so much so. And I think we do set these expectations in our heads, especially, you know, you hit a Monday, it's like, right, today it's going to happen all today, and we give ourselves about 10 things to do, and by the end of the day, if you've managed one or two, you're thinking, oh, you can feel that negativity of, I haven't done this, so I should do it tomorrow. And you can almost see it happen over a week as this cascade of things starts happening. And then, you feel like you failed. And I think that's such a shame. As you say, choose one thing. I always say, choose one thing, try and focus on that. And, and it'll be really great to hear actually what Jo says from her PT side of things, and what she's coming up against as well at this time of year.
Absolutely. And, I had great intentions. Like you, I don't set resolutions. I set sort of goals and intentions. And I went on a retreat with Donna Moore Holistics, and it was just beautiful. It was so special. We did vision boarding and goal setting, and it was great. And I had all these great ideas. And New Year's Day, I did a 2-hour swim, and that, I was January, blah, 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 I'm going for it, and then COVID hit, and I completely floored. I mean, literally wiped out. I'm not going to be one of those people who just goes on about how ill I was, but I really was. And I'm not trying to elicit sympathy, but I was completely floored. But what was interesting was a friend of mine, my best friend, Steph, gave me a journal, Donna Ashworth, and she's an amazing journaler and poet, and this beautiful book. And what really resonated was it said that January is a time for resetting and resting. I thought, do you know what, this is the universe telling me to calm down, because I'm very hard on myself, and I do have these unrealistic expectations of myself. And it was like, I couldn't do anything for 3 weeks, and actually I feel really rested now because I literally couldn't do anything. Brilliant. So trying to get back into my routine that's the slightly trickier bit, but I'm getting there, back doing my yoga.
Well, what sometimes happens as well, though, after you've had such an illness, you've just got to also remember there's sometimes a malaise that sometimes happens afterwards, where your body has recovered from the illness, but you're still exhausted from it. So just take it easy. I'm just going to give you a little. Don't go for your 2-hour swim just yet. No, just get back into it. Sorry, but that's great. I think actually your body's just saying stop, and sometimes we need that permission. It's horrible when you feel as poorly as you have done, but I think sometimes you need to give yourself permission to stop, pause, and just have a look and reflect on really, as you say, what you want to do going forward as well.
To reset, absolutely. Okay, so today we're going to talk about that sometimes very contentious subject, HRT. Yes. And there's a staggering only 12% of the population are on HRT. Tell us exactly what HRT is.
Yeah, so HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Some people just call it hormone therapy, and it's really for women who are going through perimenopause and into menopause and postmenopause. You can have it once you start it, you can carry on taking it as long as you like. There's no sort of like need to stop, and it basically is supports your estrogen and progesterone. Those are the two hormones that it works with, and what we'll do is we'll just break down exactly what you need for the type of body type you are as well. But sadly, HRT has sort of like a little bit of a bad rap, mainly from a white paper that came out from the Women's Health Initiative back in 2004, which basically heightened the profile of it by causing or being a cause of cancer, heart disease and stroke as well. And sadly, the word cancer is very much associated with HRT, and it is quite a myth. So I'd love to sort of like maybe dispel a little bit of that as we talk today.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKC TV.
Welcome back to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show, and I'm delighted to be joined by Ailsa Petchey of the Olive Collective, and we were talking about HRT, and you were going to bust some of those myths.
Yeah, so when they did this first health initiative document, they basically raised the profile of obviously having HRT as something to support women, and then the press actually honed in on the cancer side of things. And actually more recent research has been done, and it's now there's a lot of evidence to prove that actually HRT is very beneficial for women, even if you are sort of like maybe more at risk of having cancer, because it's only those cancers that are more prone to being estrogen receptive, and there are very few of those around. But unfortunately, because the word cancer has been used with it, you don't really think about the benefits. So I really wanted to just talk about the benefits of HRT, because there are lots. Because as we lose our estrogen, our bodies just don't function the way they used to. So we lose moisture from our bodies. We can lose our temperature gauge, which I think both of us know that for a fact. Yeah. Hot flushes or cold flushes or clamminess, it's sort of like one of the biggest things. So really, the other things that happen to us, obviously, actually supports us with diabetes. So it helps us to be a little bit more sensitive to insulin, which means that when we do have sugar or foods that don't necessarily support us, or when it recognises foods, it knows how to process it better. So our bodies can process it the way it does with our estrogen being in play. Osteoporosis is a big one for us. As we age, especially women, our bones become more porous. And so we do have much more of a risk of getting fractures or breaks, being brittle boned. HRT will really help to support your bone structure mass, which is important. Heart disease, one of the biggest killers in women, which is I still always find that a struggle. I think I've said this in the show before, but I always associate heart disease with men, which
Absolutely.
is dreadful. But, I think it's more seen, don't you? Yeah. So it really supports the heart health, our vessels. It keeps our vessels able to pump blood efficiently around our bodies. And dementia, there is evidence as well to say that it helps with mental and brain function. So that it actually helps to prevent dementia. There's still more information coming out about that, but that's one of the things. So, all of that was not said as part of this main sort of like review that they did. And so I think a lot of women don't realise that it really supports the body. And in fact, those were the reasons why I actually went on to HRT. So I originally was one of those people, and I'd love to find out if you were the same. Because I was into health and fitness, I was thinking as an instructor, I'm going to do this naturally. I'm going to just get through mine as smoothly as I can. Oh, gosh, little did I know. And I tried it for about 5.5 years. That's why I wrote the book. I found all these ways to help with, if I did these elements of sleep, of strength building, of eating healthily, drinking water and doing some self-care, it sort of like did really help. But for me, the one thing that I found very difficult to manage was stress. And my stress levels used to kick off my hot flushes all the time. And I got to about 5.5 years in, and I was thinking, why am I not thinking about the benefits of HRT for all those things that I've just mentioned, diabetes, osteoporosis. We have osteoporosis. My grandmother had it. It's not that means that I'll get it necessarily, or my family will, but you're more prone to potentially, those sorts of things. So I just thought, why don't I go on it? And the first thing was to get rid of my hot flushes, and it was just brilliant at it. How about you? Did you find the same thing? Why did you go onto HRT, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it was because I thought I was losing my mind, actually. I really, the brain fog was just, it was horrendous. And I remember my boys saying, Mum, have you got dementia? Because I was so forgetful and doing stupid things like driving past the house and just forgetting basic things. The sleep was a problem. Yeah. The aching, the muscle fatigue was extraordinary. I thought I had ME. It was just so debilitating. The flushes as well. But like you, I suppose it was an element of being a little bit of a martyr, and I'm going to suffer, and I'm going to, just kind of moan about this a little bit and see how. And also let's see if I can do this naturally, because it had bad press.
Yes.
And once something is associated with the C word, it's very difficult to get rid of those connotations. So Absolutely. I was very, very concerned, but I also thought after a while, I just thought, no, I'm just. Seriously, who am I kidding?
Yeah.
So it took ages to get it prescribed because I have epilepsy, and no GPs knew whether it was contraindicative. It took months and months and months, and me trying to chase down neurologists and GPs, and just to sort of say, yes, it's okay, because one can't just take any meds willy-nilly. You have to be careful. So it was a long process, and then there was the shortage, which was very stressful.
Yes.
So but for me, it's been
the progesterone was a shortage. Yes.
Yeah. So for me, it's been an absolute game changer. I'd say the only downside was probably weight gain.
Okay. So you did weight gain.
Yeah, it's definitely a weight gain thing. But that's also could have been a menopause thing anyway. So
yes.
But for me, it's been amazing. Touch wood. I'm not 100%, but I feel like I'm kind of getting my life back, and I've been on it long enough for it to have taken effect. And why wouldn't I take it?
Yeah, I think the other thing as well, you're just saying about finding that balance back again, like you say, maybe, hopefully your brain fog was the thing that eased quite quickly, and your hot flushes as well. Vasomotor symptoms of hot flushes, cold flushes, clamminess, those things can actually clear quite quickly, sort of almost like in the first week. But, knowing that you've got the other support for your other, those other things we were talking about actually will really, really help as well. So that's brilliant. Okay.
So it's I'm on the patches, the pills, and then I have testosterone pessaries, which as I said to you off air, I haven't quite got my head around that, because you have to sort of use those every second Tuesday of the month, and I haven't quite got around my head around that. But testosterone is something that a lot of women think they think it's a man thing, and they don't understand what they need, but it's just as important.
Oh my gosh. So in your 20s, you actually women produce more testosterone than any other hormone. And so as that one depletes and that one literally falls off, our radar, that's why we have, such an issue with our brain health and our ability to manage our emotions and things as well, and concentration and procrastination, all of those things. So actually testosterone, and also it's not licensed mainly for women, and that's a difficulty for a lot of women, not being able to get hold of it. So you can have a pessary, which is obviously a slow release, but you can also get it as a cream where you take literally a small little little amount that you pop onto your skin. But you have to make sure you don't put it in the same patch, because hair can grow where that is. It's like an androgen. It is an androgen. So yes, you have to make sure you move that patch around them.
just when I want to be even hairier, the thing is, and when we get to our age, we get hair in places that we don't want it.
Exactly.
So my hair is not, as thick as it was in my, I used to have I'm lucky I've got a decent head of hair, but still thick. It's not as thick as it used to be, but I had to have my tash done the other day. I was like, this is depressing. Next it's going to be the beard, and it's just like hair in places we really, really don't want it or need it, actually, quite frankly.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show on MKCTV.
I'm talking to Ailsa Petchey, and we're talking all things HRT. It's a big old subject, isn't it?
Oh, it's big, and we probably won't touch on everything today, but yes, we'll try and cover as much as we can.
Okay, so we were talking about different types of HRT, and you talked about topical.
Yes, well, actually, yes. So off air, we were just talking about sort of like all the variations of things. So I just thought if I just mention about how, what type of things you take. So HRT, so hormone replacement therapy, is obviously estrogen and progesterone, and there's different ways of taking it. So if you've got your uterus, you will be given by a doctor estrogen and progesterone. The reason for that is the progesterone helps to thin the lining of the uterus, and that is your prevention of cancer. So that's one of the reasons why you take it. So it balances out the effects of the estrogen. If you haven't got a uterus, you've had a hysterectomy, then you will be on just estrogen only. So that's sort of something that I just wanted to make sure there was clear. So because you were saying that you have a patch and you have a tablet, the way you take yours is you take your estrogen transdermally through your skin in a patch, but you also take your progesterone as a tablet, and you take that either on a daily basis, or you might have a little sequence given to you if you've still got a period. So if you have a period, you will have 12 days where you take it in the month and 15 days where you don't take it. And that will just go alongside your cycle and just keep you quite nice and regular. In fact, it does actually help you know where you are with your cycle when you've still got one. Once you've actually gone through postmenopause, you'll probably be on a continuous progesterone, and that means that you're just having that nice support for the estrogen and the progesterone in your body. So you can take it in lots of different ways. So obviously I take it as a patch as well, same as you, but you can get it as a spray. And those are really quite nice and easy, because you can actually have this spray. Basically, the pump goes onto the side of your forearm. You just do one little pump. It sprays just a little bit of a cool patch of spray. It goes transdermally into your bloodstream, and that's how you take your estrogen that way. And then the other way is through gel as well. And if you have gel as a pump, the doctor will give you, how you take it. So you usually put it maybe onto one or two arms, depending on the quantity that you need to take. So usually the doctor will advise you on the amount that you take, and then it's a case of really trying to work out how that balance works. Now, we know that HRT is not the silver bullet. It doesn't sort everything out. We were talking about sort of like lifestyle changes and choices that we make. Really important to have those alongside doing something like HRT, so really notice that benefit. But you will definitely notice some good things happening. In those first 12 weeks, you're basically asked in those first 12 weeks of taking it to just see how you feel, and you will feel some changes. You mentioned about weight gain. Usually what happens is you shouldn't gain weight from taking estrogen and progesterone. That does come a lot of the time because our bodies are changing and adapting. And it's usually maybe a little bit more like water retention, because it's not something that will stay with you. A lot of the time, if you're on HRT but your stress levels are higher, your sleep patterns aren't good, there's a lot of things happening, you can gain weight through that. So I wouldn't say that it's because of HRT, but sometimes you're still trying to find that balance again, and it takes time for all of us. So trying to get your lifestyle things in place at the same time can also really help. So those are things. Now the other thing you can do is you can take a tablet as well, so you can have estrogen as a tablet. And also there's topical estrogen as well. And the subject that isn't talked about very much is about intimate dryness. And I just thought if I mention it today as well, a lot of women don't realise that it actually there's a word called genitourinary syndrome. And that actually affects the intimate dryness, your intimate areas, plus your bladder control. Now, you were mentioning with your COVID that you had really heavy coughing and you were finding that it was quite tricky.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah, I mean, I literally wet myself, and someone who's reasonably fit, I was like, what the hell has happened to my pelvic floor? And it was awful. I just felt so embarrassed.
Well, I think, there's a good reason there. I mean, let's face it, when you're coughing that heavily and that forcefully, that can happen to anybody. I do think that a lot of women do get really worried, that their bladder control can go. And the reason is actually not necessarily what they think. It isn't because you've got a weak pelvic floor, though that does help, but also, you might find that you're drier in those areas. And when you have dryness that goes from your intimate areas into your urethra, you'll find that actually doesn't support your bladder control, and that's where you can have, intermittent times where you might have incontinence, which is a horrible feeling because you don't want to be wearing a pad the whole time. So knowing about topical estrogen is really important. Topical estrogen, it's like a little bit like putting Savlon on a cut, on a wound. It literally goes to where you put it. So you can have it as a ring that you put internally, as a cream or a pessary. So again, you put that internally, and it basically gives moisture back to the area because of the dryness. So estrogen leaves our bodies and we become drier, we're less moisturized on our insides. And so, a lot of women do struggle with painful sex, atrophizing of that area, almost like grazes in that lower area, which you can imagine if you're sitting on it can be very, very painful. So if you can have a cream like estrogen cream, you basically put it on there and oh my gosh, the difference is incredible. So if there are any women listening, please don't think that you have to wear a pad for the rest of your life. You don't. Please go to see your doctor. Please talk to your doctor about topical estrogen. Really, really important. And every woman can use it, even if you've had breast cancer, even if you are estrogenic in terms of your estrogen receptors are high. You can usually take it because it's a very, very small dose of estrogen. And as I say, it literally goes where you put it. So if you can imagine just rubbing it onto a cut, you're basically putting it to where it needs to be used by the body. It's brilliant.
Gosh, that's really, that's really interesting. And it's ridiculous that we have to go through all this, isn't it? But, like menopause isn't difficult enough. You've got, as I say, that sort of the intimate dryness and atrophy is really, really difficult to deal with. It is.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show.
So we're talking about HRT, and I think it's really important to stress how to get it. And we all know getting a GP's appointment is really, really difficult, but that is literally the only way you can do it.
I think there's a couple of things. So first of all, find out the facts, make sure you know the sort of like why you need to go on it. So hopefully you've learned a little bit from today from us just chatting, but also you do have to make an appointment to see your doctor. But another way in is if you have a well woman's checkup, then you can go to a well woman checkup and chat to the nurse, and then probably the nurse will be able to help guide you in towards a doctor's appointment as well, which might be a nicer way in.
Clever, sneaky.
And also it may be that they can recommend you taking bloods as well. blood's not necessarily to recognise whether you're in menopause or not, because that's quite a tricky thing because your FSH levels are all over the place on a daily basis. But, you might be able to check other things like thyroid health, how you are with your vitamin D, your magnesium in your body, lots of things that relate into menopause. You might be able to have a little bit of a checkup with bloods and then go into a doctor and talk about it there. Now, one of the things that happens when you do get a doctor's appointment and you get in there and you're thinking, right, I've got 10 minutes, and it goes so quickly.
10 minutes, you'll be lucky.
I know exactly. Well, yes, 5 if you're lucky. Is to write down your symptoms ahead of time, because I think what happens is, I don't know about you, but I can go into a room and I just think I know what I'm going to say, and then my head goes.
It's menopause, isn't it?
It is. And you could be quite emotional. It might be that you've been really struggling and you need them to hear you. Write down what's going on. So if you are struggling with brain fog, which is what you were saying you struggled with, you felt that you just didn't know whether your mind was going, whether it's hot flushes, whether it's mood swings, if it is intimate dryness, if it's something to do with your joint pain. There's lots of things. There's 45 symptoms at the end of the day.
Just the 45 then?
Just the 45.
Oh my God, aren't we lucky girls?
So, but you won't be able to remember that necessarily on the spot. So what I would suggest you do is almost like take a little bit of a diary of where you're at, how you're feeling. What is it like during the day? Are you having these red mist rages that you can't control? Are you finding that your partner's bothering you, but with frustration and stuff, and they breathe too close and you don't like intimacy anymore? Write those things down, that you find it difficult to concentrate, or that you procrastinate, or that, you find driving a struggle. A lot of women find their proprioception, that sort of like spatial awareness goes.
Yes, that is a thing, isn't it?
It is.
I know a lot of my friends don't like driving at night, and certainly don't like driving long distances. I mean, I find I just get really sleepy.
Yes.
I'm a confident driver, and I learnt to drive in London, and I'll drive anywhere, but I do find long distances really difficult now.
Yeah, me too. And I find, almost like lights and brightness. You might find your eyes are dry. All these sorts of things can come up. Just make a note. Have a little piece of paper by the side of your bed at the end of the day, and just write, how was your day? And actually you can just have a think about how you feel. So when you go to see a doctor, they can see almost a little bit of a diary of where you're at, and they can actually then see the combination of things that you're dealing with, because we're so unique, everybody has a different thing, and then you can actually maybe get them to guide you how to go onto HRT in the right way for you. They probably will start you off on the lowest dose, and then as you go back for your checkup, they may do a verbal checkup on the phone following up, which is a surprise, not. And then, but you can then say if you feel good or bad, and they might be able to then increase your dose if you need that. But then you should always have an annual in-person checkup. Once you have that first one with HRT, you should always get that
I've
next
never
one.
had that.
No, well, you should actually then go back to your doctor and say, I haven't had a checkup since I started this. I need a review, an annual review. That's one thing that is essential and that all doctors should do.
Gosh, I mean, I've been on HRT 3 years, and I've never had a checkup.
No, please go and.
I mean, I feel fine, and I feel so much better.
Well, it's to do with things like because our hormones change regularly. Just say, for example, your hot flushes come back. That's a perfect sign that your HRT is out of balance. Because if a hot flush comes back, vasomotor symptoms are the things of HRT should calm down immediately. So if you do struggle with hot flushes, they are the first thing that can actually be eased quite easily. But they can also be a signal if your HRT is out of balance. But if you start feeling, emotional again, or things that anxiety and that sort of feeling of stress, you can't get that in hand again, it could be that you're out of balance with your HRT. So don't just think it's sort of like letting it go. And also, you should be checked anyway. Go make sure you go for your appointment.
Okay. And another thing that does really help is exercise.
Yes.
For me, it's a no-brainer, and I think that's what's been so hard over the last few weeks. Obviously, I couldn't do anything, and now I'm trying to get back into it. But exercise is. If you're menopausal, you've got to find the thing that you like and that feels right for you. But you can't. I don't think you can just totally rely on HRT. You do need to watch what you eat. You do need to move more. You do need to get better sleep. So
Absolutely.
I think it's about helping nature along, because it is a really tricky time to negotiate.
It is.
This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show.
Welcome back to the last bit of the show, last link as we call it on radio, talking to Ailsa Petchey, talking all things menopause and HRT specifically today. A really hot topic, no pun intended. Lots to talk about. So let's recap and talk about, what we talked off air about, the worry that some women have as well, to allay those fears.
Absolutely. So HRT for a majority of women is actually safe to take. You obviously, if you've got any family history of a breast cancer that may be more receptive to, or has receptors that are more estrogenic, then I would definitely get that checked before you go for it. Now, if you have had cancer in the past yourself, a lot of women who have had cancer don't want to touch HRT, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go on HRT. When you have cancer, unfortunately, the treatment you have puts you into that very fast menopause. Those symptoms come up very fast, and obviously they're going to be advised initially to not go on it whilst they're into treatment or whilst they're in that recovery session. But it is worth, along the line, just having a look and seeing whether that is still possible for you. To be honest, I know this sounds very strange, but we were just talking about lifestyle, and we are more susceptible to cancer, to heart disease and diabetes from our lifestyle, from eating the wrong foods, drinking the wrong things, smoking, than HRT. And if I put that into context, that might give you an idea that actually, you might be doing yourself more harm by the foods you're eating than necessary, or the weight you're gaining, those sorts of things, than actually by taking something like HRT, which can actually help support you with heart disease, help support you with osteoporosis, dementia, those sorts of things. And I just think that's something to really keep in mind, is the benefits that you can have. And of course, there is going to be a percentage of women who can't take it, but majority of women can, and they can take it safely, as long as they take it within the 10 years of having menopause. So if you've stopped and you're in postmenopause, a lot of women think that they can't take it if they're in postmenopause. It's not the case. You can, as long as you're within your 10-year window, as they say, so that your body still recognises estrogen, but it will really help support, especially if you're in postmenopause and you're having still got quite a few symptoms, especially like hot flushes. That will really, really help you.
That's really, really helpful to know that, that those myths have been busted, and that hopefully that 12% of women will increase, and what people will realise the benefits, because for me it has been a life changer.
And for me as well, actually, and I didn't really want to admit that, and I think I wanted to do it all the natural way. That's sort of like admitting that actually it has really helped me. Hurt a bit, but I've been on mine for just over 2 years now, and I'm so glad I'm on it. And I definitely know from strength building and all the other, as we said, lifestyle things to do, it will really, really support that. So
Yes, I say huge topic, and I think this. We've had you on for 5 weeks. It's been amazing. We've learned so much. I know my listeners have just been blown away by your depth of knowledge and the wonderful way that you sort of impart that knowledge as well, because it's quite menopause is quite a heavy topic, and
yes.
But hopefully we've brought some levity to the discussion, and we'll definitely get you back. We're going to run a monthly menopausal musings or something along those lines, and we actively encouraging people to message in to contact you or me on social media, and let us know what you want us to talk about, because that's what we're here for. And menopause is such a massive subject, and we will go over the same things over and over again, and that's okay, because we know we have different people tuning in, and that's important. And if one thing helps one person, then we've done our job.
Absolutely.
And I know that the first show that you recommended sprays, one of my friends who struggles with insomnia, she got spray, and she said she had the best night's sleep in years. And it was so heartening to know that we are making a difference. So you particularly are making a difference with your wonderful message. You do lots of other things. Obviously, your Monday morning
Don't Sweat It walks.
which I haven't been able to make for the last 3 weeks, but it's such a wonderful thing. And each week is a different topic, and it's either a walk or exercise, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we have a Facebook group if you're interested in joining, even if you can't come along to the walks. When we do our walks, we do a little 20-minute chat at the end, and we choose a subject, as you just said, usually about something to do with menopause or something that's really sort of affecting us. And we put all the PDFs that we put together there in the Facebook group. So if you want some extra information, do come along to that. So it's on facebook.com/groups, and then just go into Don't Sweat It Walking Group, and you can join that, and we'd love to have you on there. And you can also share any questions you've got as well with us there. And then our walking group is over in Wavendon and Milton Keynes on a Monday morning at 9:30, and we have a lovely group of women on there, and I love you being there as well. And and we do, it's been a really lovely bonding. We've actually just hit our 17th week, and we've got 40 weeks funded by the National Lottery and Places for People, so it's brilliant. The other thing you can do with me if you're interested is also Pilates. I teach Pilates during the week as well. I have a Tuesday morning at Frost's, a Tuesday evening at Wavendon at 6 o'clock, and also a Wednesday morning, which is where I've just run from, that's on at 9:30 in the morning as well. So come along and try some strength training, and just mobilising your body and just sort of like activate that core and feel good. That's what I really hope to inspire people to do.
You absolutely do, and you are the most amazing Pilates teacher. Honestly, when I went to one of your classes, like, this is what Pilates is supposed to be like. So fabulous. So we can follow you on all the socials at the Olive Collective as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
And your book is amazing. How to Manage Menopause in 21 Days is a really fantastic read. So I'd recommend that. Thank you, Ailsa. It's been so fabulous having you on. I can't wait to have you on again. I've loved it. I must say I loved it like I'm not coming back. I am actually coming back. I'm going to, next week I've got my PT coming in, Joe Mara. We're going to talk about why joining the gym in January is not necessarily the best idea. Talk a little bit about nutrition as well and exercise. You can contact me at nancy@horizonradio.com, or follow me on the socials at Nancy_MK_. So please let us know, if there's anything you want to talk about. We would be talking films, theatre, menopause, fashion, literally anything you want to talk about within reason, of course. I've had such a great show. It's gone so quickly. Thank you so much for watching the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on MKC TV. It's been an absolute pleasure, and see you next time.